Hello, welcome to Magic Plus Magic. Make sure you check out the TCG affiliate link in the description below to support the channel and buy some cards, because you know you're already going to. So this time we've got the 2014 secondary commanders, and this is the monocolored decks, and they're pretty fun. They all have an extra 2, except for the red one, which had 3 extra commanders, or commander choices in there. So let's jump right in with the white. So we got Giza Goldmane. Giza is Ajani's brother, after all, and he is a 4/4 with first strike, which is awesome. And you can pay 3 and 2 white, and attacking creatures you control get +X for X number of attacking creatures. I don't know, that gives all your creatures +X with how many of your creatures you have, which is awesome. It's almost like a green stompy deck in a way, where you just give all your creatures a lot of juice and just plow through everything, which is kind of neat. I kind of like that. But yeah, I wouldn't say he's the greatest commander in the world, but I'm just gonna stick him here in probably in B tier, because he's not terrible like some other cards. But I think you could do a little bit more with that. Next we have Kemba Ka Regent, 2/4 cat cleric. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 2/2 white cat creature token onto the battlefield for each equipment attached to Kemba. Attached to Kemba. I think I'd pick Giza over her. I mean, that's really good equipment commander, and she's not very expensive, but you definitely have to have equipments attached to her as well. And she could go in a, I don't know, more of a wide deck a little bit with all the cats you make off of her, but it's also like a Voltron deck where you can just swing with her with all the equipments attached to her. So she's kind of fun. But there are definitely better equipment commanders in my opinion. So yeah, I'm just gonna stick her in B tier. Again, these are great cards. Don't get me wrong, I love all these cards, but as a commander, I don't think she's terribly good. In fact, I'm gonna put both of these in C tier because they're kind of average. You know, I'd say like if you're going between A, B, C, D, and F, C's kind of just in the middle. You know, it's not great and it's not awful. You know, it's just these are good choices, but in the end you could probably choose something else. We have Lorthos the Tidemaker. Yikes, he costs 8 mana, 5 and 3 blue. He's an 8/8, which is awesome, and whenever he attacks you may pay 8. If you do, tap up to 8 target permanents and they don't untap during the next untap step, which is awesome. But I don't know, you're 8 mana, it's huge. So much mana, and you're swinging in, and it's definitely more Voltron. Oh, it's permanents. Okay, he taps permanents, not just creatures, which is kind of cool. But also, I've seen this played one time as a commander, maybe a couple times. I didn't hate it. I thought it was neat, and it worked pretty well. But it was all counter spells and make it so your opponents can't do anything, so that Lorthos could swing in and tap everything and deal massive commander damage, which works a lot, but it's mono blue, and mono blue is troublesome. I'm gonna also put him in C tier because he's great, but he's not the best big creature commander, I think, especially in blue. All right, next we've got Stitcher Geralf, 3/4 human wizard, 2 and a blue. Tap him. Each player mills 3, and then you exile 2 cards. Put into graveyards this way, and then you put an XX blue zombie, where X is the total power of creatures exiled this way. That can be awesome. If you're playing someone with a green deck, you know they're gonna mill something pretty big probably, and then you just make a zombie that's really big, which is really great. It's kind of fun. But he kind of falls into the same downfall, I think, as Daxos, the 2015 black-white commander. Where it's kind of cool and it's fun, but it depends on so many different things. Because if all 4 of you mill 3 cards and you get a 1/1 creature, you get like a Sakura Tri-Builder, and that's it out for everybody, you get a 1/1 zombie for 3 mana. That's not that great. I don't know. So he's really good, like I say, but he's definitely got some downfalls. That you can definitely stack your deck and use things to stack which things are on top for you, and then you can put Lorthos in there and he mills and you make an 8/8 zombie. You know, that's awesome. So I'm gonna stick him also in C tier. These are not the greatest, but they're awesome. You know, at the same time, you know, they're great in the deck, I think. Drana Calastria Blood Chief. 4/4 flying vampire shaman. X black black. Target creature gets -0/-X until end of turn, and she gets +X/+O until end of turn. So that's kind of fun because she's a vampire. She drains the life out of them. So it drains their life point, their toughness, and it adds to her power, which is really, really cool lore-wise. She's very awesome. She's got such a good removal effect, because even if the creature has indestructible and she gives it 0/-4 and it's dead, you know? This gets around so many awesome things. You can just pay for it, make her really big, and it's more of a Voltron type deck, and she's more of a removal piece than a really good commander, at least nowadays. I mean, back then, in 2014, Voltron was much more viable than it is today. Now you don't see many Voltron decks, it's harder to win with them. She's a really cool creature, and I think she's awesome in the deck, and very good removal. But as a commander, I'm going to put her in D tier, because I think there's better vampire commanders, in my opinion. Ghoulcaller Giza. Ghoulcaller Giza is a human wizard 3/4. You can pay black and tap her, sacrifice another creature, and put X 2/2 zombies, where X is that creature's power. This is basically a black Krenko mob boss. Just tap in, instead of making goblins, you're making zombies, and they just get bigger and bigger and bigger, as long as you can stack it and get more awesome like creature buffs with zombies and stuff. So Ghoulcaller Giza is really cool. I still think today she's a pretty good and valuable commander. You know, Krenko's played all the time, and Ghoulcaller Giza is basically a lesser known or a lesser played Krenko for black. I don't know. I'm gonna put her in A tier because I really like Ghoulcaller Giza. And if you like Krenko mob boss, consider Ghoulcaller Giza, because you're always just gonna have zombies and you're just gonna sacrifice them, make more, sacrifice them, make more, sacrifice them, make more. Come on, it's loads of fun. It's just awesome. Next, we've got the mono red deck, which actually had 3 candidates for extra commanders. First, we have Bosch Iron Golem. He is a 6/7 with trample. Pay 3 in a red, sacrifice an artifact, and he deals damage equal to its converted mana cost to any target. Bosch is such a baller, and you can just build and build and build really quick, get Bosch out, and just start flinging artifacts at everybody, and then bring them back out, trash for treasure, stuff like that. Bring them back, and just keep flinging them. It's awesome, and he doesn't tap to do it, and you can just do it over and over and over again. I'm gonna put Bosch. Let's stick him. I'll stick him in. I don't know. Stick him in A tier, because that's really good. I mean, obviously the downfall is he's 8 mana, but it's still a 6/7 with trample is awesome. And even if he's tapped, you can still use his ability. He's great. Love Bosch. Next, we've got Felen of the Third Path. 2/3 Human Artificer. 2 in a red, tap him, put a token on the battlefield. There's a copy of a creature card in your graveyard, except it's an artifact, and it gains haste, and you sack it at the beginning of the next end step. So you copy a creature in your graveyard, and then it's also an artifact, which is great. Which you can use all sorts of combos for that. He might be, I mean, he's a little bit slower too, because he's got a tap to put something on the battlefield. But if Bosch is in your graveyard, you should make a copy of him and rush in with a 6/7 for 3 mana. I'm gonna stick Felen in B tier. If you just paid 2 in red to copy something, maybe even 3 in a red and you copied something, I think that would be awesome without tapping him. But anyway, that's cool. Tuk Tuk the Explorer. He shouldn't even be on here, but he's a legendary creature and he's red, and it works for the monocolor commander decks. Tuk Tuk is a 1/1 haste goblin. When he dies, you put a 5/5 colorless golem out, and that's it. He would be so much better if, like, I mean, you trade a 1/1 for a 5/5 that's just great, but also that 5/5 is legendary, so you can only have 1, so you can't abuse the die triggers over and over and over again, which would be awesome. F tier. He's not a good commander. Do not use Tuk Tuk ever. He's so stupid. But I mean, maybe somebody could build him, but it's not gonna be easy. Alright, next we've got Azure Renegade Leader. Azure, I'm just going to throw an S tier. Like, I've played an Azure deck, and it is so hyper aggressive and awesome. It's just hard to evade elves that can just regenerate from Azure. It's just overrun on a stick for elves. 3/3 and trample down a turn. And, you know, most elves cost 1 or 2 mana, so you're just dumping elves out, regenerating them so none of them are dying. It's in green, so you just keep more mana, and then just pay 5 mana as much as you can, and say your elves might have +9/+9 and trample until end of turn. It's just insane. Azure is awesome. Probably the best secondary commander in all of these decks, in my opinion. Alright, and lastly, we've got Titania, Protector of Argoth. 5/3 elemental. When she enters the battlefield, return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield. And whenever a land is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, make a 5/3 green elemental. She's a little bit slow for, like, I guess it's green. Anyway, she enters, return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield. So you're going to have something in your graveyard to make her useful. So you're going to kind of want to mill yourself a little bit. And you're sacrificing lands as well to get 5/3 elementals. So it's just kind of a give and take balance of, like, I'm sacrificing lands and then getting them back. And you have landfall triggers, but there are definitely better landfall commanders, like any of the Omnaths or, you know, whatever. Titania is great in the deck, especially in the Lord Winggrace deck that I did right here from my friend Neffy, who owns a game store. Right there, check that deck out because it's really good, and Titania's in there, and it's just crazy. But yeah, Titania I'm going to also put in D tier because, come on, as a commander, you want her to be out. You want her abilities to be used. But, like, when she enters, and then she just sits there, and that's almost it. Unless you're sacrificing lands. I don't know. Let's put her up in C tier as well because I feel like you can abuse that pretty well. Anyway, say Livy. Thanks for watching, guys. Do you agree or disagree? If you do or don't, I don't care. This was just fun for me. It's great to look at all these cards that I don't normally play or play with. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that bell button and subscribe and stuff and like and whatnot. And then join me next week for your weekly dose of magic.